Okay, so welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cowra Conduit interview with Mayor Bill West. I'm allowed to say Mayor at the moment, am I not?
Just at the moment, I think it's about 6 hours, 3 minutes and 43 seconds, but who's counting?
So, mate, welcome along. The reason the Cowra Conduit page was born was to try and give us a little more contact directly to council from the public perspective. Obviously, news yesterday of Westfarmers not to continue with their plans for K-Hub in town is a concerning one for the town. I think in recent memory, not since the cannery, have we had similar news, but we've always seemed to find our way through these things. I just thought we might get you in one-on-one and perhaps put to bed a few questions that are circulating around the town, particularly on social media. And I think the best way we can address that is to just ask some questions directly and get a direct answer, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure, Mark, and thanks for the opportunity, and appreciate what you're trying to do, and to have a direct conversation, almost verbatim, I think is the best way to go. And that way, I'll still say something someone ought to interpret, but nonetheless, I think it's a good way to go. So congratulations to you as well.
Thank you, mate. And I guess the point of this is that this is verbatim, directly to the source, and that there's no interpretation from me, and there's no interpretation from any third party. So, mate, we might kick straight into it, and that's with the first question. And so was the announcement by Westfarmers in regard to K-Hub not continuing with its Cowra store development a surprise to council?
Yes, very much. I think it surprised the entire community, and I think, like the entire community, quite I think devastated, like a kick in the the stomach, so to speak. I don't think anybody really thought it was coming this way. The K-Hub had been quite positive, and some of the information they put out had been positive and upbeat, and I don't think that the staff were aware of this was going to be the announcement. And we got a general manager and I got a phone call yesterday at 1 o'clock when we were in the Cancer Action Support Group luncheon, was when we first heard the news. So a bit over 24 hours, and it's been quite a journey.
Things can change quite quickly. So, mate, what was the level of council's involvement in the negotiation process between K-Hub, the owner, and council? And had either party approached council for support?
I think one of the issues here is that, of course, this is commercial operations. It's business doing what business does. So council's involvement in negotiations was not at all, and nor should we have been. There were no issues. We had obviously talked to the owner of the premises prior to Target re-signing the last lease, and we've done a fair bit of work with the owner in that area, and that was the reason council was able to pop in and support the state government to do the car park, which was very important to Target and very important to the owner. So we were able to facilitate and get that done, but that was what the request was. But in terms of the negotiations with K-Hub and the owner at in this particular venture, the owner we had been talking to over a long period of time, and they knew where we were and prepared to work if we could. And K-Hub, we'd made the same offer, so the ball was in their court because it's commercial operation. So I don't think it's fit or fair to expect that councils would be heavily involved in those free enterprise discussions where the person who wants to set up a business will do what they want, and the person who owns the premises will do what they want.
Yeah. So, mate, was there any development applications, governance issues, or permissions required of council prior to the fit out and opening of the store?
From what I understand, and have not been made aware of any, there's no requirements at all with council in regards to DAs. There's been no applications to council, and certainly council would not have been an impediment, and would work with the company, any company, provided they're working within the framework of planning, which has to be followed, of course. But no, there's no evidence at all that was the case.
Okay, mate. So I guess the next question is sort of maybe can be pointed at higher government a little bit later on, but is there a role from higher government in this story and to the large business sector going forward? Is there a role to play for higher forms of government?
I think it's difficult for any form of government to get involved in commercial operations and be spending taxpayer, ratepayers' dollars trying to prop up businesses, and every man his dog has seen it where those attempts have been made and they're falling flat, and people's dollars have been not necessarily spent as wisely as they could. Where council's responsibilities are around infrastructure, which is like the car park, and making the CB an attractive, vibrant place as best we can, and working with the developers within our capacities. But from higher governments, again, I think the same thing applies. They have an opportunity to work with them, and there are incentives provided to various organisations from state and federal government to relocate. But I think it goes a bit beyond that too, Mark, and that's opportunities that which could be explored at some particular point in time with incentives that are provided from state and federal government from time to time. But I think it also goes to the bigger point is that this is probably an issue that's not just peculiar to Cowra, it goes across the broader landscape in regards particularly retail, because other sections of the Cowra economy are really going very, very well. It's around retail, it's around our CBD, and understand fully, everybody feels the pain of not having a K-Hub or a Target with all the services they provide and the products they sell. It's difficult, and the impact it has on the rest of the CBD. But I think there's an underlying issue here that councils are very, very much about making sure that the services and the infrastructure they're responsible for is there and available. And we need to be talking to federal and state governments about things like transport infrastructure, telecommunications, and some of those bigger picture issues, which will help to encourage populations to relocate to regional areas. And that then will create that demand, if you like, that critical mass of people. So I think there's two ways of looking at this, and I think we really have to have that conversation going forward.
Yes, sure. Okay, mate. Well, we're getting close to the end here, so I guess the real concern for everybody is where do we go from here? What's our next step? What can we do to get through this?
I think I think the first thing is we will get through it. That's the first thing. These unfortunate, really frustrating things have cropped up in the past, and they'll continue to crop up, and we've got to deal with them and face them head on. We can't pull the blankets over our head and pretend it's not happening. It is. I would say to the community, just please work with council and not go down the path of the blame game. That's the first thing. And understand the role council can play and what responsibilities council does have, and not just think that council can solve all the problems or the state government can solve all the problems. This is about commercial industry, commercial enterprises, it's about business. And we've seen with banks, we've seen with other organisations and commercial operations where there's a change and people are using online shopping. I'm not blaming online shopping, but it's just one of these things that are changing around the way we do business with retail. But the other thing is council has reacted, I think, quickly. We've already made contact with the owner, and the owner has indicated that they were appreciative of the fact that council did work with them on the car park, and council has a contact now for people who wish to talk to the owner about what options there may be into the future and what the owner might be thinking of doing. And that contact's been made in the last few hours, and that will continue to be. And we've already had a conversation with the business chamber, so we'll be connecting people, obviously. Also, we've had a conversation with the K-Hub property people who have been able to indicate to us what the issues they had were. So that conversation is also taking place. So it's a matter of finding out what all the issues are and came back to the community and making sure we try to work around it. But we've done that already. I had an opportunity last night to catch up with left field, but with somebody who's involved with management of these sorts of facilities in shopping centres. So I've got a lot of information out of it as well. So we're really working hard behind the scenes just to pull all the information together so we do make a sensible decision, but it's not going to be something. We knew K-Hub wasn't going to open before Christmas, so sadly it's not something we're going to turn around tomorrow. But the work is being done now to try to get some sort of framework and some sort of platform to leverage off as we go forward. And of course, it's not helpful with local government elections, and there's not going to be a council for a few weeks. I know the general manager is working very, very hard, and he will continue to work hard in conjunction with the business chamber, and we've been talking to the business chamber as well. So there's a lot of hard work ahead of us, but we need to take this head on and talk to all those people involved, but get the facts and get to understand what all the situation is and all the players in this field. So it's not there's no magic panacea, no silver bullet, unfortunately, at this stage. But I just hope people can understand that this is not something you should be throwing at anybody's feet. Not play the blame game. We really need to try and move forward now. Obviously feel a bit disappointed, very disappointed, frustrated. Didn't need it, no one needed it, but we now need to pick ourselves up. And we have a beautiful community, and we've got a lot of really good shops. So we need to continue to support them, and we need to work forward.
Well said. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Mayor Bill West for coming on and giving us his time and getting to the crux of a lot of conversations that have been going around in the last 24 hours. This is, as Bill said, a time for us to understand the facts and how things have actually happened, and that there is it is what it is to a degree. And I think over Cowra's history, if we look back between canneries and abattoirs and staffing cutbacks here and there that were going to be the end of the town some 30 years ago, we've managed to be resilient always, and we've always bounced back. And to remember that we do, as a town, have plenty to offer, and that can't be offered up appropriately if the town's turning on itself and turning itself inside out. So transparency and communication is key to that, and we'd like to thank you very much, Bill, for allowing that to happen today.
Thanks, Mark, and always open to these sorts of conversations, and thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate your time, mate.
Thanks, mate. Take care.